Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting episode of EdTalk World. I'm your host Krish, and today we have a distinguished guest who has made significant contributions to the field of education. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Christopher Abraham, a distinguished professional in leadership, management education, and consultancy, holds multiple degrees and exemplifies a commitment to continuous learning. As CEO and the head of Dubai campus at the SP Jain School of Global Management, he brings over 35 years of experience. A seasoned keynote speaker, he was delivered three times captivating talks at TEDx event worldwide, with notable consulting assignments and recognition as Best CEO in Education Leadership Award recipient. Dr. Abraham impacts extend to esteemed organizations and advisory positions. Knighted by the Party Guelfa in Italy, his dedication to the environment reinforces his commitment to the management, education, and sustainability. So without any ado, let me quickly introduce him to all of you. Hello, Dr. Abraham. Welcome to EdTalk Show, sir. How are you doing today?
Thank you, Krish, for the lovely introduction. Doing very fine. And thanks for the opportunity.
Sure, sir. Pleasure is all ours. First of all, before we commence this interview, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to you for sparing your valuable time today and joining us for this enlightening session. We sincerely looking forward to delve deep into the intricacies of the education.
Wonderful. It's going to be a good opportunity for us to share some very interesting ideas.
Thank you so much, sir. So to initiate our discussion, I would be really grateful if you could share your insights, analysis on what are the key skills of the future that students need to be trained today.
Very important and interesting question. This question has to be answered in the context of the evolving dynamics of the external environment. You see so many dynamic changes happening in the world, economically, socially, technologically, with the influence of artificial intelligence, ChatGPT. So the question, how do we equip our students for the future, is an ongoing debate. And as of date, every few years, you would find the World Economic Forum coming with a list of the top 10 skills that they need to survive and thrive in the next 5 years. And if you interestingly analyze, you would find every 2 to 3 years, that list gets changed because of the changing dynamics. My personal opinion, I believe the future of learning pertaining to students in terms of the skills, the knowledge, and the competencies can be broadly classified into what I would like to call digital skills and human skills. While you have the onset of all these AI technologies like ChatGPT and various other language processing models that are coming up in vogue, students need to know how to apply them. I don't say that everyone should become a coder, but they should know how to apply these particular technologies in their workspaces. That's number one. So I'd like to put that in a bucket called digital literacy. And then coming to a range of human skills, which are going to be deeply relevant even now and in the future, things like critical thinking and problem solving, adaptability and flexibility, which include agility, the ability to act quickly when the changes happen in the external environment, emotional and social intelligence, which are again very critical, and of course, the power to collaborate, the power to work in teams, and the power to communicate effectively simple and profound ideas. And then we are looking at the level of creativity, innovation, and design thinking that people can bring into the forefront, along with cognitive and analytical skills. And lastly, one important skill, learning how to learn and having a continuous process of learning, what we call lifelong learning, articulated by three beautiful words: learn, unlearn, and relearn. I think these things, if are diligently followed, the digital literacy skills, along with the human skills that I just shared with you, trust me, any individual can not only survive, but thrive in the future.
Thank you so much, Dr. Abraham. This is such an indeed a best answers that how the students like us can adapt the very important skill sets
That's right.
to understand the future understanding of the education. Now, since we are already talking about the students, so one question every student might have here is, since we are adapting our head, this major skill set that is required. In addition to this, what will be the future role of the teachers in the in the education?
Very interesting and very challenging question. I'm sure if teachers are listening to this, they would like to definitely have, answers as to what should be our role in all of this, right? So that's going to be an extremely important question. So in my humble opinion, I think teachers need to be, the role of teachers has dramatically changed. I would like to say, a teacher used to be the know-it-all. In the Indian context, we would call them the guru. The guru would know it all, and he or she would share all that they know to their community of students. But today, the world of knowledge has democratized information and knowledge, which means the data, the knowledge, the information that's available to the teacher is also available to the student. So where can the teacher play a differentiated role? Number one, he or she continues to be an expert in their particular field. So whether it is a cognitive field, whether it's an analytical field, whatever field that they are in, they need to be a few notches ahead of the students. That's number one, which means the latest trends, the latest researches, the latest articles, the latest publications, the latest trends, they need to be well aware of these things. But beyond that, I think the role of a teacher gets beautifully nuanced into what I'd like to call the human dimension of the future teacher. Because a lot of learning can happen enabled by technology. But where the teacher can make a big difference is the human face. Let's take COVID as a simple example. We had technology that facilitated learning between teachers and students remotely through various advanced technologies like Zoom or any other similar, technologies. But children and even students at universities and colleges were craving for that human connection. And that's where the teacher comes in, where a student not only asks questions about his or her subject, but would also like to have a personal guide, a mentor, you know what I mean? A coach.
Exactly.
So a teacher's role gets metamorphosed into something much more significant in terms of playing a critical role and not only just imparting knowledge, which anyway can be done by the technology, but facilitating change through continuous human interactions by being their friend, philosopher, and guide. One of the challenges that youngsters like you face is depression, anxiety, uncertainty. And teachers would be there to support them, to tell them, hey, listen, these are things that are going to happen and it will continue to, be there. But how do you, face resilience? How do you prepare for a resilient mindset? How do you prepare for a future that's uncertain? So the teacher plays the role of a mentor. And I think that's where I think it becomes very interesting. I'd probably like to encapsulate that in 5 C's, if I may use the word. The teacher as an effective communicator, right? So he or she articulates the best ideas, the best thoughts, the best trends in the easiest, easily understandable manner. Number 2, the second C would be the teacher as a connector. And what's a connector? A connector is an emotional connect that every teacher can give to the student to tell them that, yes, things are going to be uncertain and complex, but here we are, a group of, like-minded people willing to hold hands with you and take you through an uncertain future. So second C, connection. The third one, the teacher as a coach. So he or she plays the role of a coach, which means that when the student needs to upgrade his or her skills, competencies, attitudinal changes, behavioral challenges, anxieties, the teacher is there to coach them as to how they can better cope with these challenges. The fourth C is what I'd like to call the teacher as a catalyst, because the teacher's role is to, is to transform. The teacher's role is to change mindsets, change perspectives, change attitudes, and in the process, they change their behaviors for a better future for everybody. And last but not the least, most important in my opinion, the teacher as a driver of what I call the moral compass. This final C is the compass. So the teacher provides the direction for every student towards the right ethical, moral decisions. So again, the teacher as a communicator, as a connector, as a coach, as a catalyst, and as the person who drives them towards the moral compass. That would be my, encapsulation of what the future role of a teacher would be.
Which is really amazing, sir. I don't only have a proper faith in this, but now I believe that yes, many of our future teachers would be able to adapt this. And one thing that you mentioned would be able to connect more with their students. So again, thank you so much. Now, since we are talking here about students and teachers, now both of them are leading to the education. Coming from you, Dr. Ibrahim, you have more than 3 decades of experience. Now, understanding about something about your vast experience, what changes would you like to see in the education system in next 5 to 10 years? If you can shed some light on this.
Yeah. Before I answer the question, I need to put a historical context to it. Sure. If you look at the evolution of modern education, you're talking about education that took off during the Industrial Revolution. And the objective of education then was to prepare workers, employees for the Industrial Revolution. So a set of skills that were required. And for want of a better word, I'd like to call it the cookie cutter approach. So you had one size fits all, you put them all like the assembly line, put them in processing, and then teach them a set of skills which were then relevant. I think we've come a long way. 200 years of growth, evolution, development. I think we now need to relook what is it that we'd like to see changed in the education system. Now, with the complexity and the interesting dynamics in the external environment, what is today required from education is to address the socio-economic challenges and ensure, in one simple word, can we provide education for all? And the all is very critical. The all is the 8 billion or more people in this planet. How do we reach out to each one of them? And I mean that. It's not just for school-going kids. It's not just education for university, college students. It is for everybody on this planet. As I said earlier, it's a lifelong learning process, and we need to prepare our people towards that kind of emancipated, inclusive education across age groups, across geographies, across regions, and across, multiple characteristics. So some of the things that I would like to see, and this can be done, this isn't a utopian dream, but with the advancement of current technologies, we need to bridge the gap on digital divide. So today you have, if I may use the word, the haves and the have-nots in education technology. I think we need to bridge that seriously, quickly, so that it becomes more pervasive and all-inclusive across the world. So that's number one. Number two, if you look at the quality of education, again, it's very lopsided. You have the really best of the best in the world, and then you have, schools that you wouldn't want to send your children or your future generations to. So I think, again, that needs to be a set of quality standards which are relevant and appropriate for different contexts. So I'm not saying one size should fit all, but we need to look at, especially in rural, underprivileged, or developing areas, that we need to have the right quality of education. The conventional system, the third dimension is the conventional system of standardized testing. If you look at our current educational system, it has inherited a testing system which probably is a few centuries old and may be totally irrelevant in the current context. So should we relook the way we evaluate our students, the way we look at testing our students? What are those things that we need to test? Should again be a very important discussion in the immediate future, so that we don't have one size fits all. The fourth dimension, which I think is extremely critical and not seriously addressed, is the aspect of wellness, total wellness of a student, or if I may say, the learning community. When I say total wellness, We are talking about mental wellness. We are talking about social wellness. You're talking about financial wellness, right? So you're talking about wellness in its totality. Even spiritual wellness today is brought inside. The power of belief, and students have that kind of hope that, yes, things can get better. The fifth dimension is personalized learning. Again, thanks to data analytics and the huge amount of data available to us, we can use adaptive learning technologies that can address personalized learning. And last but not the least, when you look at the overall picture, we need education that addresses inclusiveness and diversity across the globe. So we need to have these things addressed. And so when I look at the future of education, it should be education for all. And all, I think, is the most critical dimension. With all these nuances of personalized, enhancing quality, readdressing or re-looking the testing factors, evaluation factors, total wellness, and of course, personalized learning. That would how I'd like to look at the future of education.
Absolutely, Dr. Ibrahim. Thank you so much for highlighting some important changes that education must be requiring. Again, in the future, next 5-10 years, I'm sure the teachers and students, everyone, the faculty members, everyone would be able to understand how important these changes are. So again, thank you so much for this. But for someone to, if we dive deep into the changes, every one of us might have one question that which changes are we talking about? Now, if you're talking about which changes, the questions that come is what is the biggest challenge that education is facing today? And if you can share that how we can address them, would be really grateful, sir.
Lovely. So, I think the most important aspect of education in the current context is how do we create moral, ethical, compassionate human beings who are not only intelligent, but are able to work together with people, with other people across the world, and make the world a better place for everybody. Now, this again might sound like an utopian dream, but current research, both in technology and in human sciences, tell us that we are hardwired emotionally. There is inside each one of our brains a God-given set of neurons called mirror neurons. And these mirror neurons are responsible for human compassion, human collaboration, human cooperation. So I think it's time to readdress the concept of conflicts, which come through power and greed and control and authority, which we don't need. So in a world that's emancipated, right, where we understand the power of collaboration, I think we need to create human beings. So when I say the most important aspect of education, or the biggest challenge for education is to create human beings who are ethical, who are moral, who are compassionate, and who are collaborate. And not rocket science. All these are very much possible. Because throughout history, if you see, we have had a set of guidelines that have guided us to understand what is right, what is wrong. We have had this concept of punishment and rewards. But again, we need to relook these things and see how we can prepare them. So what are the solutions? The right knowledge, the right skills, and the right attitudes. By the way, attitudes can be changed thanks to the science of neuroplasticity, the ability of the human brain to change itself and evolve itself and become better. So that's number one. Number two, continuous personal development, which is about self-awareness, character development. And also in the last 3 decades, there's been some very interesting insights and research from the field of positive psychology and neuroscience. So what we had been doing in the last 100 years is to be so obsessed with what is wrong with humanity that we fail to realize that there's a bright side, which is all about characters and virtues and strengths. Thankfully, in the last 3 decades, a horde of professors and researchers have now shifted their focus towards what can be done better from the goodness and the greatness of humanity. So that's the whole field of positive psychology, which is today validated by cutting-edge research and cutting-edge science, and of course, validated with latest research from neuroscience. One of the best institutes is called the Greater Good Science Center from the University of California, Berkeley. And they do some fascinating research in terms of the goodness in people. And one of the exercises that I would encourage both teachers and students to do is to identify what are our character strengths. It's called VIA, values in action. Values in action is a tested questionnaire, which gives us information about 24 character strengths and what are the 6 key character strengths each one of us possesses. It could be courage, it could be compassion, it could be resilience, it could be emotional intelligence, it could be spirituality. So many interesting areas. So number one, it's a great discovery that, wow, I didn't know that I had these good qualities. And number two, once I know that these are my top skills, then how do I develop the remaining 18 skills? And then, of course, we are looking at lifelong learning. As I said again, that's a no-brainer. We need to continuously equip our teachers and students to be lifelong learners. And of course, to start with, as I said, become more morally and ethically and compassionate, collaborative people, which means we need to continuously develop their social and emotional skills. So that's the way I would look at the role of education in the future, to create genuine, good human beings, if I may put it very simply.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you so much, Dr. Abraham, once again, to understand and make us understand the challenges the education is facing today and how we can address them in the next year. So really appreciate it. So thank you so much. In conclusion to our meeting today, one thing that I would really like to understand on behalf of every student in the world and on behalf of every teacher in the world, according to you, what do you think what's the most important aspect of education in today's world and how can it be achieved?
Oh, yeah. So as I said earlier, the most important aspect of education is to create a better society for everybody. And which means we have, let's say, for example, let's visualize the future in the next 5, 10, 15 years, which is very difficult. But let's envisage. We are talking about billions of human beings understanding technology, working with other human beings in a moral, ethical, compassionate, human manner. And what we need is an understanding that together, not to conflict, but to collaborate, not to fight, but to cooperate, not to challenge each other, but to cooperate with each other to create a better society for all. This might sound utopian, but there are lots of exciting examples of this happening in many parts of the world in pockets. So it's time to scale this on a larger level to create a very inclusive, equitable society where everybody has equal opportunity to learning, everybody has equal opportunity to develop, everybody has equal opportunity to technology, and together we create a better world for everybody now and in the near future. And, a few years back, there was a fascinating research done by a Dutch historian. And the research was about human kindness. So what they proved was, contrary to conventional belief that competition is good, kill your enemy, Lao Tzu and Charles Darwin, the current research tells us that human beings by nature are very compassionate, number one. Number two, in each one of us, there are a set of neurons that are responsible for us to become socially and emotionally connected with fellow human beings. We are by nature good people and we are compassionate. This is cutting edge science, by the way. And the third interesting dimension is that he has proven throughout history that humanity has grown not because we fought with each other, but because we collaborated and cooperated with each other. It was a New York Times bestselling book called Humankind. So I think we need a world that is more equitable, more compassionate, more loving and caring, and of course, embraces technology. But we work together so that everybody benefits in the larger scheme of things, and which I think is very much possible. So contrary to popular opinion, which is, articulated by mainstream media, I think the world is a much better place, validated again by research. So that's how I'd like to put that.
Thank you so much, Dr. Professor, for this amazing journey and letting us know the important aspect. We couldn't thank you more for helping us out in understanding the challenges of the education, the changes, and the important aspects of education once again. So once again, in conclusion to everything, thank you so much, Dr. Abraham, for sharing out your valuable insights and letting us understand the importance of the education system, challenges and changes, and the important aspect of the education again. Your expertise and perspective have shed light on the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead with us now. So we greatly appreciate your time and wisdom today.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, and I wish that these ideas spread far and wide so that many more people can get benefited. Once again, I want to thank you guys for this amazing opportunity and wish you the very best. Good luck and God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And to end this, for our viewers, if you really like this chat, please make sure that you like our YouTube channel and subscribe to us at Top World Clickaway Creators. This is Krish, your host, with Dr. Christopher Abraham, signing off.